Information has never been so available and yet so expensive. Over the last 50 years, college has gone up and up and up and up in the cost of it. And yet at the same time, because of Moore's Law, we're learning that since the 80s, technology, and even before then, the technology has been doubling every 18 months, meaning it's become cheaper, faster, and more available to the world. And that's created and started the information age. Officially, 1989, when the Berlin Wall finally came down, when Reagan said, Gorbachev, tear down that wall. And that wall came down was apparently truly when the information age started. So if it's 2017 now, that was about 28 years ago the information age started, where the Internet of Things is to come. And I just find it so interesting that if you think about everything that there is in life, what is life? It's knowing self, knowing yourself in this world, in this environment, and being able to decide to be happy, and that there's nothing that's going to make you happy. What does that have to do with education and it being so available? It has everything to do with education. It has everything to do with education, because education is finding the answers within. Education is thinking. Thinking is the filter that analyzes all of this information and helps us form assumptions that are either going to be positive or either going to be negative. They're either going to be abundant or they're either going to be scarce. Now, if they're negative and they're scarce, we'll never find peace. If they're positive and abundant, we could have no material wealth and yet find true happiness. That's why you follow these successful people that reach the end of their life and they say, my biggest regret is not the stuff I got, it's the relationships I didn't form. It's the things that I wish I had attempted to do that I didn't. It's regret. It's relationships. Because the only thing that separates us from every other mammal is to be able to look back and say, damn, I wish I made that shot. So how could information be so expensive and yet so abundant? And how can we be so advanced and yet so behind? At the end of the day, it isn't about how much information is out there. It's about our culture or our metaphorical ecosystem of shared belief in how we view that information. Do we take it for granted or do we fight for it? A few thousand years ago, 200 BC or something like that, Alexander the Great, well, I hope I got that date right. Alexander the Great conquered the known world with a caravan of books following him around. In less than 10 years, he overtook Macedonia, Greece, all of Persia, northern India, Egypt, and died very abruptly. But in his passing, even though his legacy, his children, his wife, his mother, they all perished, his legacy survived in the throes of Alexandria, the Alexandrian Library that had over 500,000 scrolls. See, people cherished knowledge back then. And he was a leader that people could follow and believed in because of his actions, and him being an avid reader and an avid, curious individual, a knowledge seeker. People strive for that. One could argue that we are where we are today because of what was done in the 10 years in Alexandria that set up the couple hundred years of Egyptian rule where they cherished knowledge too. Some of the most advanced technical accomplishments were made in the Alexandria Libraries. Now, isn't it interesting that hundreds of years of that going on in Alexandria, that eventually through riots and war, the poor wanted the knowledge in the libraries and the rich didn't want them to have it. There was a hierarchy of knowledge. People cherished knowledge back then. And when there was a rebellion, they burned Alexandrian Library down out of resentment for not having the knowledge. And yet today, in this age, there are 7-year-olds with iPhones who have more access to more knowledge than the world has ever known, for free, on YouTube and Wikipedia and Google. And yet they're more focused on what fashion style they need to wear to school so they don't get made fun of. Knowledge is potential power. Action is the kinetic energy used to achieve it. However, in the age of abundance, in an age of information, in an age of literally infinite possibilities, we squander that knowledge. And we are not free. We are in our own way. So I hope this helped you think a little bit differently. If you're in college, read the books. If you're thinking about going to school, ask yourself why. Get on YouTube and type in the craft that you want to learn and see if you like it. It might save you $100,000 in debt. I love you, I care about you, and this is the culture of information. Don't let it go right by you and have a big regret on your deathbed that you wish you had learned about the thing that you really knew was in your heart. I'll see you later.